She left the front door unlocked. That's how I knew it was over. Not with a fight, not with a scream, not even with a note. Just the door, wide open, flapping slightly in the wind like the mouth of someone who wanted to say something but chickened out. No car in the driveway. No suitcase by the stairs. Just an empty house that still smelled like her shampoo and betrayal. I stood there for a full 30 seconds, holding a bag of groceries like an idiot, staring into the silence. The hallway light was on. Her favorite mug was still on the counter. Coffee stain at the bottom, lipstick smudge on the rim. She even left the fridge open. Not wide open. Just enough that it beeped every 30 seconds like a metronome counting down to my emotional collapse. Some people find out their spouse is cheating because of texts or weird receipts or lipstick on a collar. Not me. I found out because my cat wouldn't stop scratching at a floorboard under the bed. That was 2 days before she vanished. I thought Muesli, that's the cat, was just being neurotic. But she kept going back to that same spot. So I looked, and guess what I found? A phone. Not her phone. That was still in her purse. This was an older one. No SIM card. Just Wi-Fi. I don't know what made me turn it on, but I did. It had no passcode. Just hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of videos. She was in all of them. And so was he. I still don't know his name. I call him Discount Colin Farrell. Same haircut. Same smug face. Same crooked teeth. Some videos were taken in hotel rooms. Others in our own bedroom. One, and this made me genuinely gag, was recorded in the kitchen while I was in the next room playing a horror game with noise-canceling headphones on. I watched exactly 36 seconds of one clip. That was enough. I threw the phone in the trash and immediately regretted it. Not because I wanted to see more, God, no, but because I knew I'd need proof. But again, I'm not smart in moments like these. I react like someone in a dream, where everything's slow and disconnected and wrong. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just made soup. Yeah, tomato soup. From a can. Stirred it for 15 minutes without eating it. The kind of coping mechanism only a man raised on emotional repression and too many 90s sitcoms could come up with. When she came home, I asked how her day was. She said, fine, without looking at me. Kissed me on the cheek. Said she was tired. Went straight to bed. She was wearing his hoodie. I recognized it from the videos. And I said nothing. So yeah, when I came home 2 days later and the front door was open, I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me, though, was what she left behind. Not just her phone, or her laptop, which was wiped clean. Not just her clothes or her makeup drawer full of secrets. No, what she left behind, buried deep in a box labeled Christmas lights in the attic, was something that changed everything. The attic was always her space. I hated going up there, low ceiling, bad insulation, that weird smell like old candles and insulation dust. She said it helped her feel quiet, which made no sense, but I let her have it. I assumed she kept off-season clothes up there. Turns out, she was storing secrets. After she left, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the videos in my head, even though I'd only seen a few seconds of one. It was like they branded my brain. I had to get out of the house. But something told me to go up to the attic first. Not for closure. Not for answers. I just felt pulled. Like something was still waiting for me. The Christmas box was under a pile of old blankets, tucked behind a broken fan. We hadn't celebrated Christmas properly in years. She'd always made excuses to travel or work. When I opened the box, it was mostly just tangled lights and one cracked ornament. But beneath that, taped to the bottom of the cardboard, was a tiny black flash drive. No label, no case, just taped there like she wanted it to be found. Or like she'd planned to come back for it and ran out of time. I brought it downstairs and stared at it for a solid 10 minutes. Every movie in my head was screaming, don't plug it in. But I did. Inside were only 4 video files. No names, just timestamps. All from different years. 2018, 2019, 2021, and one, dated just 2 weeks before she left. I clicked the oldest one. It wasn't what I expected. No sex. No cheating. Just her. Alone. Talking to the camera. She looked different. Nervous. Hair pulled back tight. Eyes darting. The video was short, maybe 3 minutes. But it chilled me more than the affair ever could. She said things like, if anything happens, I need someone to see this, and I know how insane this sounds, but I swear I'm telling the truth. She never mentioned a name, never explained what this was, but at the end, She whispered something I still haven't figured out. They always wait 9 years. I watched it 3 times. Same result, goosebumps. And confusion. A part of me wanted to delete the whole drive and never think about it again. But I clicked the next video. And that's when things really got messed up. The second video was only 54 seconds long, but it changed everything. It opened with total darkness. Not black screen darkness. More like a pitch-black room with the faint sound of breathing and fabric rustling. The camera was clearly recording something, but nothing was visible. I thought maybe it was corrupted. I scrubbed forward. Nothing changed. But then, around the 41-second mark, there was a click. A light switch. The camera flickered for a split second, showing what looked like a basement wall, unfinished concrete with streaks of moisture, and then it cut to black again. Then came a whisper. Not hers. A male voice. Too quiet to understand the words, but it was right next to the mic, like someone leaning in to speak directly to the viewer. Or to her. Then it ended. No explanation. No date spoken. No context. I just sat there at my desk, my stomach in knots, the room dead silent except for the buzz of the monitor. I replayed the end 6 times, boosting the volume until my speakers crackled, trying to make out the voice. But the whisper wasn't in English. It didn't sound like any language I recognized at all. It was harsh and rhythmic, almost like a chant. I checked the properties of the file. It was created exactly 1 year before she left. I didn't sleep that night. Around 3:12 a.m. I remember the time because I was staring at the microwave clock. I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, steady, directly above me. In the attic. I froze. I live alone now. The attic doesn't even have a floor, just beams and insulation. I grabbed a flashlight and a kitchen knife. I'm not proud of that combination, but it was the best I could do. I climbed up the ladder, shining the light into the dark. Nothing. No movement. No sign of entry. Just the same dusty boxes and a single moth bumping against the exposed bulb. But then I saw it. The Christmas box. It had been moved. Not by much, maybe a foot to the left. But I remembered exactly where I left it. I stood there for a long time, staring at it, waiting for something. I don't know what, to explain itself. Of course, nothing did. I went back downstairs, locked every door, and sat on the couch until sunrise, the flash drive still plugged into my laptop, like a loaded weapon I didn't know how to use. I haven't watched the third video yet. Not because I'm scared, though I am, but because part of me is starting to believe she didn't cheat at all. That what I saw on that old phone might not even be what I thought it was. And the most terrifying thing? I'm not sure what's worse. The idea that she betrayed me, or the possibility that she was trying to protect me from something I still don't understand. I didn't go to work the next day. I told my boss I had food poisoning, which wasn't entirely a lie. My stomach had been in knots since I found the flash drive. I sat in the kitchen with a cold cup of coffee for 2 hours, just staring at my laptop, wondering whether I was ready for whatever came next. Eventually, I opened the third video. This one was different right away. It started with Darla sitting in what looked like a hotel room, but not the fancy kind. It was one of those cheap roadside motels with patterned carpet and a lamp that buzzed faintly in the background. She was holding the camera close, her face pale and her lips trembling. She looked terrified. "I need to document this," she whispered, glancing at the door. "It's been happening every night for the last 5 nights. At exactly 2:41 a.m., something enters the room." I paused the video. My heart was already racing. Not from fear, not exactly, but from the feeling that something was deeply, fundamentally wrong with what I was watching. I hit play again. She turned the camera toward the wall-mounted clock above the television. The time read 2:40 a.m. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just pointed the lens toward the door and waited. For about 20 seconds, nothing happened. Then, there was a faint knock. Not on the door, on the wall. From the inside. It came again. 3 taps. Hollow. Deliberate. Darla gasped and dropped the phone. The screen went sideways, showing only the bed and part of the ceiling. But the audio kept rolling. There was a dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. Then nothing. Complete silence. After a few seconds, she picked the phone back up and flipped the camera around to face her. Her eyes were wide, almost unblinking. She mouthed something, but no sound came out. Then the video ended. I sat back in my chair, trying to process what I'd seen. My first instinct was to dismiss it, tell myself it was a prank, a setup, Maybe some kind of twisted project she was working on. But that didn't make sense. She never showed interest in filmmaking, horror, or anything remotely like this. And the fear on her face, it wasn't acted. I know that look. I'd seen it once before, years ago, when we got caught in a snowstorm and our car slid off the road into a ditch. That was real fear. But here's what really got to me. After watching the video, I opened a search tab and looked up the name of the motel from the cheap branded notepad on the desk behind her. It was real, but it had been closed down since 2017, condemned after a fire that killed 2 people in room 6. The same number that was written on the corner of the pad. And Darla had never told me she'd been in any kind of fire. Never even mentioned that motel. But in the video, it was perfectly intact. Clean. Lived in. I checked the timestamp again. The video was created in March 2021, 4 years after the motel supposedly burned down. There's no logical explanation for any of this. And I haven't even touched the final video. Not yet. But I'm starting to think that whatever she was involved in didn't just end when she disappeared. It might have followed her here. I didn't plan to watch the last video that night. I told myself I needed sleep, food, anything normal. But I couldn't stop thinking about that motel, how it was supposed to be ashes, how she'd been there for years after it burned, and how none of this made sense anymore in any sane version of reality. At around 11:30, I heard something drip. A single, soft plip from inside the wall near the kitchen. I assumed it was a leak, something with the old pipes. But when I pressed my ear to the drywall, it didn't sound like water. It sounded like breathing. Wet, raspy, low in the pipes, like someone exhaling inside the structure of my home. I slept on the couch with the lights on. Or at least I tried to. Around 3 a.m., the hallway light turned on by itself. That was it. I couldn't wait anymore. I got up, opened my laptop, and double-clicked the final file. It didn't start with Darla. It started with me. The final video started with static, like an old VHS tape struggling to catch signal. No sound, no music, just that thick, low electrical hum like the kind you hear in a basement with one flickering light bulb. I leaned in closer, half expecting it to cut to black or glitch again like the others. But then the image sharpened, and it was me. I was sitting on the edge of our bed, hunched forward, my elbows on my knees. Same haircut, same hoodie, same little tear in the sleeve from when I caught it on a drawer last winter. The lamp behind me was on, casting a weird, yellow glow across the room. Except here's the thing. I had no memory of that moment. I don't even remember that night. In the video, I didn't move much. Just sat there, breathing slowly, staring at the floor like I was trying to remember something. But then the camera shifted. It was handheld, shaky, uneven. Darla was recording. I could hear her breathing too. Quiet. Nervous. She whispered my name once. Just once. Elwood. I didn't look up. She whispered it again. No response. Then, slowly, the camera panned around the room, like she was checking the corners. The closet door was open. The bathroom light was on, but the room was empty. Everything looked normal, except for me. And then, at exactly 1 minute and 19 seconds in, my head snapped up and looked straight at the camera. But the eyes weren't mine. They looked like mine. Same color, same shape. But they were too wide. Too still. Like they didn't blink correctly. And the way I smiled. I've never smiled like that in my life. It was subtle, just a small twitch of the lips, but it felt so wrong it made my skin crawl. Darla gasped and backed up. The camera jerked. She said something under her breath. It sounded like, "Not again," and the video cut out mid-motion. I just stared at the screen, trying to process what I had seen. There was no record of that night. No matching footage on the security cams. No signs of anyone breaking in. The bedspread was the one we threw out 2 years ago, after she spilled red wine on it. The lamp in the video? We donated it last spring. That entire version of the room didn't exist anymore. So how did I, or whatever version of me that was, end up in it? I thought about her words again. They always wait 9 years. I checked the date on the video. Exactly 9 years to the day from when we first moved into this house. That's when I finally understood something that had been clawing at the back of my mind since she disappeared. This wasn't about infidelity. It was about something that had been watching us, learning us, mimicking us, maybe from the walls, maybe from somewhere else entirely. Something she discovered too late. Something she tried to leave behind. And now, I think it's waiting for me to do the same. After watching the final video, I shut the laptop and didn't move for a long time. I just sat there on the living room floor, surrounded by silence so thick it almost had weight. The only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator, and even that seemed distant, like I was hearing it through a wall of water. I should have been scared. I think I was past fear. What I felt was something colder, something like recognition. I started noticing things after that. Small details. Little errors. The kind you'd overlook if you weren't already paranoid. The hallway light flickered once, and when I replaced the bulb, I realized the label on the fixture said, "Property of Haven Suites." I've never stayed at a place called Haven Suites. I've never taken anything from a hotel, but it was screwed into the ceiling like it had always been there. Then there was the drawer in the kitchen, the second one from the left. I opened it, looking for scissors, and found a photograph I'd never seen before. It was old, folded into quarters. In it, I was standing next to Darla in front of a gray building I didn't recognize. We were smiling. She was holding up 3 fingers like it meant something. I flipped the photo over. On the back, in her handwriting, it said, "Year 3. Not yet. Don't tell him." I sat down on the kitchen floor with the photo in one hand and the flashlight in the other. I wanted to believe it was fake, that someone planted it, that my mind was cracking under the pressure. But I remembered something, not clearly, but like a dream that starts to sharpen the longer you think about it. I remembered that building. I remembered standing there. But I remembered being alone. That's when I really started to question what was mine. Not just in the house, but in my life. Memories came back wrong, twisted at the edges. Like remembering a childhood birthday and suddenly realizing your parents had different faces in the image your mind plays. I remembered our wedding, but couldn't recall who was there. I remembered an argument we had in the car, but not where we were going or how it ended. Worse than that, I found a voicemail on my phone, one I didn't remember saving. It was Darla, whispering, "You need to go back to the motel. Room 6. You won't find me, but you'll find yourself. They always make you forget. Don't let them do it again." The timestamp was from 5 days ago, 5 days after she disappeared. But that room, it burned down in 2017. I checked again. The fire department's report was clear. Total structural loss. 2 deaths. No survivors. And yet, when I called the number on the motel's faded Google listing, someone answered. A woman. Calm voice. She said, "Yes, we have a room available. Room 6 is open. Would you like to book it for one night?" I hung up. I sat there in the dark kitchen, my head buzzing, staring at the photo again. 3 fingers. Year 3. I tried to remember what we were doing in that picture. Why I looked so happy. Why it felt like something else was standing just behind the camera. Not a person, but a presence. And then something clicked that I hadn't noticed before. In the photo, there was a small detail on Darla's shirt. A pin. It wasn't anything flashy, just a tiny enamel circle with a red spiral in the center. That same spiral had been scratched into the back of the attic door. I checked. It was still there. I hadn't noticed it until now. I don't think this is about her anymore. I think it never was. I didn't go to the motel. I thought about it. God, I thought about it every hour for 3 days straight. But something in me had changed. Not from fear, not exactly, but from finally understanding what Darla had tried to do all along. She wasn't running away from me. She was running from something that had been trying to replace me, or her, or both of us. Something that slipped in slowly, over years, through repetition, through memory, through little changes in what we believed was real. A presence that waited in silence until we were too tired to notice what we'd lost. I stopped looking for answers. I started looking for anchors. I went through everything I owned, photos, files, receipts, texts, and started building a timeline of what actually happened. I threw away anything that couldn't be verified. I deleted the video files. I wiped the flash drive. I burned the photograph. And when I did, I swear I heard something move inside the walls, like an animal scurrying to higher ground. But it was weaker this time. It felt like it knew I was waking up. I started writing, journaling everything. Not for the internet, not for Reddit, for me. I wrote down what was true, what I knew had happened. Day by day, moment by moment. I rebuilt my life on facts, not feelings. It was painful. It was lonely. But it worked. The lights stopped flickering. The noises faded. I slept. Deep, dreamless sleep. My cat stopped pacing the hallway at night. The attic went quiet. One morning, about 6 months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. Darla, sitting on a bench, somewhere near the ocean. She looked older. Her hair was shorter. She was smiling. On the back, in her handwriting, it said, "You're 9. You made it. Don't forget who you are." I didn't cry. I just sat there, sun on my face, and realized something strange. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid. Not of the house. Not of the past. Not even of what I couldn't explain. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter where she went. Or what we almost became. What matters is that I'm still here. Still me. And whatever tried to steal that, it failed. Some stories don't end with clarity. But sometimes, surviving is the ending. And I think that's enough.